What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Remakes speculation video covering Mega Evolutions. So yeah, we're carrying on along the Synodex looking at some possible Megas. There's not much more to it than that, so let's jump in. The first Pokemon we have today is Purugly. Now, there are no images for Megas here because I couldn't find any decent ones that I wanted to show. So we'll just talk about it instead. Mega Purugly. Now, what would it be like in terms of changes to stats and your general appearance, I suppose? Bulky, basically. We know that Mars from Diamond and Pearl, and obviously Platinum as well, has a Purugly. We all struggled against it, the first battle against her at Floroma Fields. I don't know where it was. So imagine then meeting her later in the story and boom, she's got a Mega Purugly that's even more annoying than before, which would be pretty cool in my opinion. So you could do similar things with the other Galactic Admins, but we'll see how they go. But in terms of Mega Purugly itself, bulky basically. Bulky while also dealing good damage back, because that was the really scary thing about Purugly. It was decently bulky, especially at that point in the game, and it could still do decent damage back. So obviously bulk would be the main thing, health points have to stay the same, so defense and special defense get a decent boost, and then maybe a small boost in attack, and then maybe a small boost in speed, or just leave speed the same, because it's not really hinging on speed. But in terms of design, you just want to bulk it up a bit, make you could turn its white colour, white sections there into puffy sort of furry bits, so puff them up a lot so they absorb the damage. And in terms of ability, give it Fur Coat, why the hell not? Double its defense against physical attacks, that would be really cool for it. Or even Fluffy, which is the new ability in Generation 7, which could also factor in quite well here because it would be a Fluffy Mega Evolution. In terms of typing, obviously it's pure normal to begin with. Whether you give it another typing or not, I don't know. Normal generally isn't very good defensive ability, but in terms of what you could give it to make it working with a theme, Fairy is one possibility, but you then have to change the design and the colouring a lot to fit that. Another idea maybe is Fighting, but then you're hinging more towards the sort of all-out offensive side, so maybe not quite working with the theme going for in terms of just bulk. So probably just staying pure normal would be good enough, similar to Furfrou. I wouldn't complain about that. It would fit it best in my opinion. And then, in terms of ability, as mentioned, Fluffy or Fur Coat, I think would work really well to give it some really good defense. That way you can focus in terms of its stats, not necessarily boosting its defenses a lot, but boosting its attack a lot, and having the ability to aid it, to help it along, and have it be physically defensive, and then have a small weakness in special defense, and that's how you can get around it. That's it for Purugly though, because there's not much extra to go off of, apart from just discussing in general. So next up we have Skuntank. Now of course, another Team Galactic admin has a Skuntank, so if you were to give Purugly one, you could also give Skuntank a Mega, and have it work in a similar way. Looking at the two designs here, the left one basically just brings Skuntank up onto 2 feet, it looks like at least. 2 feet, and Skuntank, obviously its tail comes over back to its head anyway, so just making it bipedal does a similar sort of thing. In terms of the typing for the top left one, I could just stay in pure poison. It's poison dark to begin with, and not pure poison. Poison dark carrying on. And of course the bottom right design does lend itself more towards the dark typing rather than just poison dark, so maybe pure dark, I don't know. Poison fire is another option with the fire typing. Of course it's based on skunk, so you could almost bring in some fire bases there and have it shoot out fireballs of gas, maybe, I don't know if that would make a lot of sense or be too appealing, but that's one idea. And in terms of, so typing poison dark, you could get rid of the dark type if you wanted to make it pure poison. I'm not sure that would really benefit it too much, so maybe just poison dark would be fine. Apart from that, I can't really see what else you'd do with fire type as mentioned, or going pure dark, but again you lose the poison, so what's the point in that? In terms of typing, I could see it being slight Purugly is physically defensive. I could see you putting a bit of special defense into Mega Skuntank, as well as then some special attack, so it can actually deal some damage back as well, and then having a small weakness in physical defense, as well as its physical attack not being the highest. In terms of ability, I could see almost a new ability for Mega Skuntank, because I feel like something would have to jazz it up a bit, so maybe something like poison targets take twice as much damage, maybe it's a possibility. Or poison targets take an increased amount of damage. I won't put a certain amount on it, but something like that would work well in my opinion. Or you could have something, if you were to take away the dark type, for example, you could have all dark type moves become poison type moves and have it sort of combine into one stab. Or a very similar thing with if you're into poison fire, you could have all dark type moves turn into fire type moves. Something similar to that, to sort of boost up if it changes its type to support the type change. or just boost up its poison type to begin with. So you gave it a supportive move. Also has Venoshock, so Venoshock combined with like a poison increasing effect ability would be interesting to see, to say the least. At least. Nice. At least. Anyway, so that is going to be it for Skuntank. So if we move on to the third Pokemon today, we have Bronzong. So we only have one design here because, again, these Pokemon are a bit light on people going out and making extravagant designs for it. But I really like the design for Bronzong here. Looks very similar to normal Bronzong, maybe a bit too different for a Mega. Could be possibly a further evolution, but we can also use it for a Mega. So it's similar body shape. It's just got a larger ring on the top of its head and more designs on the front of its face. In terms of typing, start for Mega Bronzong, I could see it staying Steel Psychic. I don't think you really need to change that at all. It's a pretty unique typing in some aspects. Obviously you have Metagross, but whatnot. And in terms of ability, I think it gets Levitate to begin with, so I would say just carrying Levitate across would be a fairly simple Mega in that aspect. In terms of and just hit the desk. In terms of stats though, it's a special attacker to begin with, so I could see getting some boost to that, as well as a decent boost in physical defense and special defense, because of course you can't really have an ability to sort of boost up anything, because obviously we have Levitate. So unless you were to get a different ability and have it just not make sense thematically, you would have to work around that. But I think Levitate would be the one it carries across. I can't really see it staying. I can't see it going rather. Just wouldn't make sense in my opinion, because it levitates in the air. You can't really take that away, unless of course it doesn't levitate in the air anymore, so it has to be on the ground. And then Bronzong just looks like a bell on the ground and not really that menacing. So that's that really. Typing probably the same, it's not really Steel because it's a bell, Psychic because it has psychic powers. You take the psychic powers away, what have you got? Nothing really, unless you were to go something fancy and go like Steel Ghost and have the Psychic turn into Ghost or something similar to that. One possibility, but I can't really see it happening. So, Steel Psychic is what I see. Staying, Levitate stays the same as the ability probably, and stats is a simple boost in special attack and the defenses to bulk it up a bit. So really, Bronzong is fairly simple. So we'll move on to another Pokemon. This is a bit more interesting, and this is Chatot. So Mega Chatot is something I've seen a lot of people ask for. One, because the design would be pretty cool. You can see the two designs we have here both take this music note we have already for Chatot's normal face, normal head, and just change the fancy bit on top of his head so it looks like a different type of music note. That's something that's almost a given if they do give it a Mega Evolution. But of course it's a normal flying to begin with, and you could, it's a parrot, it's very flamboyant, you could extend it into different typings if you wanted. You could, if you would want to get really crazy, have flames on its wings and have fire flying. You could possibly give it some blue colouring like the top left one, or maybe the bottom one's got some blue already, but you guys get the idea, and become water flying. You could have some sort of interesting thing to go along with it. I would probably say it's saying normal flying though. It has to keep the flying type, it's a parrot, makes a lot of sense, so the normalest ones can get switched out. And if anything, one thing would be Psychic, because it could use its musical powers sort of thing, and go like that. But I think normal flying is the one it's going to stay at, because a lot of, well not a lot of, but several of the normal type moves are actually based around sound. So you have Boom Burst, I believe, is a normal type move, so you guys get the idea there. It would make more sense in my opinion. In terms of stats, it will be speedy, of course. It's a parrot flying around nice and fast, speedy, and also fairly special attacking as well. I think it is already, just boost it up a bit more. Frail, however, would be the thing, so fairly low defense, maybe just give it no boost at all. I think it's pretty bad already, so that's the idea there. And in terms of typing, probably something that can, we have one in Generation 7 now that converts sound-based moves into water-type moves for Primarina's hidden ability. It's not very useful there, but you could have something similar here. Sound-type moves turn into flying-type moves, something like that. I don't know if that would be especially useful for it though, because obviously Boom Burst is already pretty powerful when you get stabbed on it. So you could have a similar thing related around sounds, just sound-based moves do more damage basically, or sound-based moves have the chance to paralyze the opponent or put the opponent to sleep, something like that, something crazy around a sound, because that's what Chatot is based around. Of course, there was the introduced, and there was a fancy thing like, it can repeat what you said to the microphone. It's brilliant. I suppose that's one possibility, but whether that's really a huge thing, who knows. But yeah, so in terms of design, we haven't talked about much. We talked about the music note, we talked about flamboyant feathers, but there's not much you can do to it, because it is Chatot, it's fancy, it's, it's just a parrot. Just add some more feathers to it, makes the feathers more colourful, and then obviously the tail is another thing you could change around. Obviously it's just a long tail with a ball in the middle to begin with, so you could add another music note on the end there. The left design, I think, adds some sort of music note on it. The right one just makes it a bit longer, so you could mess around with it there. But in terms of that, yeah, there's not much extra you can do to it. To power it, just change it out, make it a bit more flamboyant, and that's pretty much it. So then the last Pokemon we have today is Spiritomb. So this is like a whole video of the type doesn't really change, because Spiritomb is Ghost Dark. I see no reason to remove the Ghost Dark typing. It's got one weakness in Fairy. That's a fair enough weakness to have. I see no reason in removing it. If we first look at the designs though, we can see the left design has Spiritomb breaking out of the old Keystone, I think it is, or the old Keystone, I can't remember which one, but it breaks, so you can see the actual Keystone just literally breaks in half, so you could have it broken in half, but its spirit has escaped thanks to the Mega Stone, for example, and you can see, you know, rather than just being a ball of ghostly essence, it's like a proper, it's got arms, it's got a body, it looks really menacing as well. I really quite like it. Whereas the second design here has a similar aspect, but not quite to such an extent. You can see it's coming out of the odd Keystone to some extent, but of course it's still a ball, so it's just rising up a bit and showing off some of its menacing power. Again, that looks pretty cool design, to be honest. The colouring and the, just the general design of it I quite like. But yes, as I mentioned, typing, it's probably going to stay the same. I see no reason to remove it at all, because Dark type is theoretically basically the best type in the game. One weakness, pretty good, and obviously Stab's pretty good as well there. In terms of stats, I think Spiritomb's a special attacker off the top of my head, I would believe it to be. So special attack, I would see getting a decent boost. In terms of the left design, that looks almost like it's going to go to a more physical side though, so you could flip it around and have it change like that, but probably just keep the special attack side of it. Speed, probably not a huge thing because it's still in the odd Keystone. Maybe if it breaks free of it like the left design, you could be a bit more liberal with that and have, say, oh, it could fly around the Keystone, doesn't have to stay in one place anymore. Or you could just leave speed how it is, because it's still tied to the Keystone, that hasn't changed at all, for example. Just give it, I'd say, big boost to attack and special attack, just make it really offensive. It's got decent defensive stats already, thanks to its typing, it really builds off of that, so you don't need to give it any defense boost necessarily. You can just put most of the boosts into attack and special attack and make it really offensive. That's just my opinion though, so as always, if you guys have any ideas, let me know down below. In terms of typing, or not typing, ability, that's the one, for these guys though, and currently pressure is one of them, or there's nothing amazing. In terms of what you could give it something thematic based, unleashed power, for example, from the Keystone, if it's going to break free of that, for example, and you can have, Ghost Dark moves boosted by an extra 7%, or just something based around its theme, I suppose you could say. I don't exactly know what that would be, but sort of theory crafting a bit more, looking at its move pool and seeing what exactly might be useful to boost up, but generally a boosting type just to get a bit more power on the side would be pretty good for Spiritomb there. But that's going to be it for today's episode. So a lot of Pokemon that didn't change type, almost didn't change abilities, some of them, but still some interesting stuff to look at. So as always, if you have any ideas for the ones we covered today, feel free to let me know down below in the comment section, and hit the like button if you enjoyed. But for now, this is gonna be it for today, so I should be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.